Animation for the past century has been an uphill battle of technology limiting creative capability. When we look back at the oldest animations, they all had to be hand-drawn and colored in, making movies like 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs an incredibly tedious movie to make. Let me do the math here. Let's round the movie up to 2 hours, which is 120 minutes, which is 7,200 seconds. That movie was animated on 2s, then it's 12 frames per second. 86,400 frames for a 2-hour movie. 86,400 individual drawings that are colored in. So fast forward to the 1970s. Ed Catmull, the co-founder of Pixar, worked on the first 3D animation ever made. Now there were two. There was one that was the hand and there was one that was the face. Now the whole way that this works is illusion. They create a system of polygons in a virtual space that mimic 3 dimensions, but it's actually all, flat. And then using a timeline, they would move these objects through a 3D space over time. This is the essence of 3D animated film. But this was incredibly difficult for computers at the time, and making a film out of this was impossible. But after a couple decades of innovation, we ended up with the first feature-length 3D animated film, Toy Story. And this continued to adapt for decades, so we got better at simulating light and physics and material and particles and a variety of other things. But animation now is capable of being indistinguishable from reality. And then once we crossed this point where it was indistinguishable from reality, we hit a plateau. Most animated films after 2010 look similar. They're not doing anything unique. They have achieved the best rendering possible, and now it was just a matter of making movies. These companies started seeming to get lazy. We got sequels after sequels after sequels of movies that were already popular. So it was time for something new to come to the table. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. This movie changed everything. It doesn't try to achieve realism. We already know that that's possible. It's not impressive anymore. But instead it uses style to tell a story that is unique and amazing. The film uses a hybrid of 2D and 3D animation, but it does so much more than just look like a comic book. Just its use of frame rate alone is used for the storytelling purposes. Miles and Peter B. Parker are different in experience, and that is portrayed through their motion. Miles moves on 2s, which is half of regular frame rate, so 12 frames per second. Most cartoons are done in 2s, but Peter is animated in 24 or on 1s. Most 3D animation is done in 24 frames per second. But as Miles grows as a character, he transitions into moving on 1s. And there's so many little things in this film that are just extremely unique but tedious for the producers to make. The smudge effect they used instead of motion blur, which this is probably the first time it's ever been used in 3D animation. The comic book style hold frames, the halftone shading, the colors, and the different styles used for all the other universe Spider people. It's all totally unique and hasn't been done before. Keep in mind, this movie was made right after Sony made the Emoji Movie. Like, this is the biggest redemption ever. Into the Spider-Verse created a whole new pipeline just for this movie of animation. And I think that when it comes to animated film, that's what it's all about. It's always been about pushing the limitations of the technology and creating new forms of expression that are unique. And since that movie came out, we've gotten some movies that are different, like The Bad Guys and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. And I say it's time for more stylized animated films. I hope to see more like Into the Spider-Verse. So to answer the question, has animation peaked? I say yes. In terms of capability, yes. When you look at diminishing returns, the difference between Toy Story 1 and 4 is night and day. But the difference between Toy Story 3 and 4, it's a little hard to tell them apart. We have hit a point where it is so good that it's hard to improve in a noticeable way. So, yes, animation has peaked. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel for more content and hit the notification bell to be notified of our next uploads. And support us on Patreon. We will credit you in all of our videos, and I'll try to find more stuff I can do for you. But anyways, thanks for watching.